So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present this preliminary work about questioning Planck-selected star-forming protocluster and their fate using simulations. So let me first introduce the Planck-selected star-forming protocluster. So it consists of unresolved high peak observed in sub-millimeter by Planck. So over mainly 4 bands between 0.35 to 3 millimeter with a resolution between 5 to 10 arc minutes. So as it is illustrated here, we can see a 1 square degree intensity map of a given IZ sources in these 4 different bands. And so this sub-millimeter emission is supposed to trace the dusty star-forming galaxy. So from these Planck high-frequency observations, around 2,000 cold extragalactic sub-millimeter sources has been identified. So by fitting a modified black body spectrum on the sub-millimeter emission, they infer a redshift for each sources, assuming a dust temperature. So as we can see here, the histogram of redshift sources for different assumption on the dust temperature. And here I focused on Planck results estimate by using a dust temperature of 30 Kelvin. So it's tend to be confirmed by recent spectroscopic observations of IZ sub-millimeter galaxy. So from this dust temperature, we can see that 90% of the protocluster candidates are on the redshift range from 0.3 to 3. They also deduce a far infrared luminosity for each sources. So by integrating the modified blackbody spectrum, and from this bolometric far infrared luminosity, they derive an effective star formation rate for each IZ star-forming sources. So we see that the star formation rate is extremely high. So for example, at the temperature of 30 Kelvin, so with a SFR between 10 to the 4 up to 10 to the 5 solar masses per year. So for this large sample of cold extragalactic sources detected by Planck, we aim to investigate what if Planck protocluster candidates were observed directly through the star-forming galaxy. So to do so, we use the Large Hydrodynamical Cosmological Simulation ILLUSTRIS-TNG, so which provide around 30 clusters at the decal zero. So as it is illustrated here, for example, from Li-Metal, so for the most massive cluster at the decal zero, color coded by the SFR. And so for this, from this simulation, we construct a sample of star-forming objects similar to Planck sources. So such as we consider the 30 most star-forming halo from Z equal 1.3 to 3. So in 19 snapshots of the simulation. And by this way, we obtain an overall sample of 570 objects. So here we can see the redshift probability distributions of Planck sources in red, and in comparison, the simulated sample in black, which appear to be representative to the Planck redshift distributions. So in order to compare this IZ star-forming object in simulation with the Planck sources, we consider different parameters to compute the SFR of our simulated sample based on their galaxy distributions. So to compute the SFR of each high star-forming simulated object of our sample, we directly sum the SFR of galaxy inside a given aperture. So we chose a radius of 5 arc minutes based on the typical spatial extension of Planck sources. And here we can see for illustration the distribution of star-forming galaxy inside a sphere of 5 arc minutes around a given star-forming halo in the simulations, so at Z around 2, with the projection along the 3 different axes. So we can also consider a line of sight contamination by integrating the SFR of galaxy inside a cylinder in the simulations. So for example, here by integrating over the full size of the simulation box, we can see here that it boosts the number of galaxies and thus the estimated SFR of the object along the 3 different projected axes, so mimicking 3 fiducial line of sight contamination. And in addition, we can consider also a cut of low star-forming galaxy, because we know that low star-forming galaxies are difficult to observe at high redshift. So here, for illustration, I remove all galaxies with a SFR lower than 10 solar massive per year. And finally, we aim to take into account foreground and background contamination along the line of sight. So therefore, we estimate the mean SFR inside random line of sight as a cylinder in simulation boxes for each redshift snapshot. And by this way, we can add mean foreground and background contributions around each object given its corresponding redshift. So let's compare this with the SFR of Planck sources, with the SFR redshift of Planck and this PDF in bottom. So by simply summing the SFR of galaxy inside 5 arc minutes around each simulated object, we obtain this light blue SFR relations, SFR redshift relations, and this PDF. And we can see that Planck SFR is strongly larger than the SFR of simulated objects, computing with a similar aperture side. But in fact, we know that the error in redshift of Planck sources is about 10%. So we can add a contamination of other galaxies along the line of sight, as illustrated in purple. And as a result, we see that the star formation rate of simulated objects become larger and thus closer to the Planck measurements. And finally, we know that the effective SFR computed by Planck is in fact inferred from the density flux integrated along the line of sight. So we can expect a strong contamination of foreground and background objects on the estimated SFR computed by Planck. So indeed, by accounting for background and foreground contributions, we are consistent with the effective SFR of Planck sources. So we conclude that the SFR of PHZ sources can be explained by considering star-forming objects strongly populated by foreground and background, which may be a star-forming galaxy or star-forming galaxy clumps along the line of sight. And this finding is in agreement with Negrello et al., who analytically models the statistic of protocluster candidates by Planck. So let's now see if these foreground and background contaminations tend to be confirmed by individual PHZ sources that have been reobserved in spectroscopy. So first, we can focus on the follow-up observation of PSZ G95. So Flores, Cacho et al. Have presented a spectroscopy of 30 galaxies on these PHZ sources. And so they established the existence of 2 galaxy clumps viewed along the same line of sight. So with 5 high star forming galaxies for each group. So one located at Z around 1.7 and the other at Z around 2. Another example is the PSZ follow-up observation from G237, so study in detail by Pauletta et al. So they found that this source can be decomposed as 2 clumps of galaxies, one at Z equal to 215 and the second at 220. And a third example is the Planck G73 protocluster, which has been reobserved with ALMA by Kisnell, who identify also 2 distinct structures along the line of sight of 2 groups of 5 galaxies. So with one at the redshift 1.5 and the second at the redshift 2.4. So these 3 follow-up observations of PSZ protocluster argue that the effective Planck star formation rate is in fact the sum of star forming objects in foreground and in background along the same line of sight. So focusing on these 3 spectroscopically confirmed PHZ sources, we can compare it with simulations. So based on our parametric star formation rate computations, we recompute the SFR of our simulated object. So by considering a cut of low star forming galaxy, a spectroscopic redshift error contaminations, and an aperture of 5 arc minutes. And so this parametrization has been chosen to rightly match with the observational selections. And so we found the result in green, so in the SFR redshift relations. And so we can conclude that this SFR of simulated object tend to be consistent with the spectroscopic follow-up observations. So finally, we probe the fate of our simulated IZ star-forming sample. So to investigate if this object will end up forming massive cluster at Z equals 0. So to do so, we use a merger tree, which encodes the merger history of objects in simulations. And so by this way, we can find the progenitor at z equals 0 of the simulated object that we have selected previously. So by investigating the mass of the progenitor of our simulated sample, we found that about 70% of this sample become massive cluster at z equals 0, whereas 30% are progenitor of group size objects, and a small fraction, 3%, become low mass objects, so with mass less to 10 to the 13 solar masses. So we can consider separately the main substructures with the other massive clumps of matter inside a given halo at z equals 0. And so we found that, more precisely, 57% are become main substructures inside cluster, and 30% become other substructures inside cluster. So as it is illustrated here, for a progenitor massive cluster at z equals 0, some star forming objects become these main substructures in dark blue, and other become the second substructures in light blue. As the same for group size progenitor, we found that only a small fractions become substructures in groups. And finally, we have this 3% of isolated low mass objects. So this result is in agreement with Lee-Metal 2021, which have used Illustris-TMG simulation also to show that objects selected in SFR provide a large scatter of mass at z equals 0. And they also argue that the SFR-based selections in simulations is better to represent the observed protocluster.
Celine, you lost that. Very good.
I almost finished.
Perfect.
So in conclusions, I have presented a preliminary exploration of what if Planck source were observed directly through star-forming galaxy. So we found that a strong line-of-sight contamination by foreground and background can explain the effective star formation rate measured by Planck. But of course, we have to keep in mind that we need an accurate reproduction of Planck selection via end-to-end mock image computed from a light cone to confirm these conclusions. And we also argue that PSZ follow-up observations are in agreement with this conclusion of line-of-sight contaminations, so mainly with two star-forming objects along the same line of sight. So the SFR of the follow-up observations are consistent with the SFR of simulated objects. And beyond this star formation rate property, we are currently investigating the count and the property of galaxy member in protocluster follow-up to compare simulation and follow-up observations. And we have probed the fate of this simulated object, found that 70% are really high mass cluster at z equals 0. And we aim to probe the detailed merger history of this star forming object to identify how evolves the star formation rate of same progenitor along their mass assembly history. So thank you.